All right, today we are diving into a really fascinating ancient story from the Buddhist scriptures. It's all about a stubborn monk, a surprisingly simple rule, and a pretty profound lesson on how you actually train the mind. This is a story about resistance and what it really takes to find mastery.
I mean, seriously, what happens? This isn't just some old philosophical question. It's something we all run into, right? The story kicks off with the Buddha making what seems like a very simple request to his community of monks, a little tweak for their own well-being.
So the Buddha proposed this practice called ekasana bhojanam. It basically means eating in one single session. He explained that, it would lead to better health, give them more energy, and just bring a sense of ease to their lives. But, as you can guess, this simple suggestion is about to hit a major snag. Right away, this one monk, Bhaddāli, just flat out refuses. He says, "I can't do it. It's going to make me anxious, I'll regret it." And even when the Buddha tries to meet him halfway, offering a compromise, Bhaddāli just doubles down and insists, nope, he's totally unable to follow this training. So after this very public refusal, Bhaddāli is just crushed by his own resistance. He feels like a total failure, like he's the one guy who can't keep up. So he starts to pull away from everyone, just grappling with the heaviness of his own decision. And we're not talking about a day or two. For 3 entire months, he couldn't even bring himself to be in the Buddha's presence. He was just consumed by this idea that he was a monk failing at the one thing he was supposed to be doing. And here is the profound irony of the whole situation. The very feeling he was trying to avoid, this kukukancham, this deep sense of worry and remorse, is exactly what he ended up drowning in. It wasn't the rule that caused it. It was his resistance to the rule. So finally, after all this time, his fellow monks go to him and encourage him to just face his mistake. Bhaddāli knows they're right, so he works up the courage and goes to the Buddha to confess and try to get back on track. He goes and openly admits his fault. But pay close attention to his wording here. He's not just saying, "I'm sorry," to get a pardon. He's asking for his failure to be seen for what it is, so that he can build a real foundation for self-control in the future. Now, the Buddhist response is just brilliant. He doesn't just pat him on the back and say, "Don't worry about it." He pushes for something deeper. He asks Bhaddāli, "Hey, back when you refused, were you feeling particularly accomplished or free?" And Bhaddāli's honesty here is just crucial. He admits his refusal didn't come from a place of strength or wisdom. He says he was empty, vacant, and at fault. Basically, he was running on fumes, spiritually speaking. And here's the big takeaway. The Buddha defines real growth, not as perfection, not as never making a mistake. He says it's the ability to see our faults for what they are, to own them, and to correct our course. That right there is the engine of progress. This whole exchange sets the stage for the Buddha to share this powerful metaphor one has used before. It's not about training a monk anymore, but about training a magnificent, high-spirited, thoroughbred horse. And this is where we see how universal this process really is. Think about it. The training isn't about breaking the horse's spirit. It's gradual. It starts with resistance, right? The horse fights the bit. But with patient, consistent work, it moves to accepting the yoke. And eventually, it culminates in this incredible mastery and elegance. This is a perfect map for how our own minds work. The Buddha draws this perfect one-to-one parallel. The horse is trained for the chariot. The mind is trained for liberation. That initial discomfort, that feeling of "I can't," is just like the horse fighting the bit. It's the necessary first step on the road to real freedom and poise. So for a monk, mastery isn't about running fast. It's about perfecting these 10 qualities. You probably recognize the first 8. That's the classic Noble Eightfold Path. But then it's capped with 2 more, right knowledge and right liberation. This is the complete package for an enlightened mind.
So Bhaddāli, who is clearly having some light bulbs go off, asks another fantastic question. He basically says, okay, so why are there more and more rules now than in the old days, but it seems like there are fewer enlightened monks? It's a great question.
And the Buddha explains that rules don't just appear out of nowhere. They're direct response to specific problems, these corrupting influences that naturally pop up when any community gets bigger and more complex. It starts small and simple, but as it grows, new challenges arise that need to be addressed.
And this just completely reframes the whole idea of rules and discipline. They aren't arbitrary burdens meant to make your life harder. They are specific, targeted medicine prescribed to protect the health and integrity of the whole community as it evolves.
And that brings this whole lesson right back to us, doesn't it?
The story of Bhaddāli, the stubborn monk, is really our story. It reminds us that resistance is a totally natural part of the process. But it's that gentle, consistent training that turns the wild part of us into something truly masterful. So it makes you wonder, what's the real thoroughbred inside you that needs training? And what's the first step you can take?